Imagine if there was a way to get live, raw nutrients into your diet without having to dig a garden or go out in the cold. Well, you can, and you can do it without compost in your own kitchen. Today, we're talking about how to do sprouting at home. Health Explorer Neil Fellows here. If you want to get healthy and fit and stay healthy and fit and do it in a way that's unique and natural to you, please subscribe and hit the bell. When you bite into something that's fresh and packed with live ingredients, I don't know about you, but I can feel the aliveness of the food, and it's like all the cells in my body start doing a happy dance. I'm about to talk with award-winning nutritionist Trish Tucker May about how to do sprouting at home so you can pack more live nutrients into your food. So Trish, tell us about sprouting. Tell us what it is.
Okay, let's start with a quiz, right? A little quiz. What will grow anywhere? This is not a joke, by the way. What will grow anywhere and in any climate? What requires neither soil or sunshine? What will not be subject to any nasty sprays, herbicides, pesticides? What is extremely economical to grow with no waste? What rivals meat in nutritional value? What multiplies by 400% in 5 days in nutritional value? And what matures in 3 to 5 days from seed to sprouts? Sprouts are so easy, like they are magical life force. They're special. Sprouts are special.
They sound very special. Yeah. So tell us about what you, I suppose you've alluded to it in a way, but what are some of the benefits of sprouting?
Yeah, look, it doesn't matter. You don't need an allotment. You don't need a big veggie patch. You can be growing these in the smallest of spaces, and you don't even need a light, bright kitchen. As you can see today, we are in my kitchen, and I do grow a lot of stuff just outside my kitchen window. I do have an allotment, but I also have my windowsill where I can grow lots of microgreens and lots of nutrients, and growing my own digestive enzymes, growing my own vitamins and minerals, and also my own essential fatty acids. So it's like having a little magical little pod, like a veggie pod on my windowsill. And that's the beauty of it, because it's so simple. It's so fun. Like if you've got kids in the house, to see things, how quickly things can grow into something that's very nutritionally dense, but also really cost effective, is wonderful. And, you know, and they're so beneficial for every part of health. So particularly hormones. As you know, I specialize in women's health, digestive issues, and particularly with the perimenopause and the menopause. So sprouts are amazingly good for estrogen, even if you've got too much estrogen, they're very good at reducing the level of estrogen and keeping that in balance. And if you've got no estrogen left because you're in menopause, then they're really good. Plant estrogens are fantastic for, you know, help support the liver and helping support those happy hormones. They're actually called the happy hormones, which is amazing. But the other thing that the sprouts do is that they, in their magic, as they grow in 3 to 5 days, the starches convert to simple sugars, which make them very easy to digest. The proteins become amino acids, which are the building blocks for healthy living and energy. The fats become essential fatty acids, so they are really important for energy, for hormones, for your thyroid, for all of those good things. And the minerals in the sprouts merge with the proteins, so they become much more nutrient dense and readily available for energy, which is just amazing. Like, it's so magical that this can all happen in 3 to 5 days.
Sounds amazing. I mean, and I when a lot of people maybe think of sprouts, they probably think of Brussels sprouts, but I know that we're not talking about that from experience. So tell us, what kind of things can we sprout at home?
Okay, so any grains and seeds and nuts you can sprout. I do find that organic works better because they are just, you know, they're cleaner and more nutrient available. But pretty much anything from green lentils to your cruciferous vegetables like your broccoli sprouts, any of your nuts. I haven't really had much luck with cashews. They tend to go a bit slimy. But almonds, fantastic. Brazil nuts, fantastic. Chickpeas, amazing. Alfalfa, fantastic. I love the simplicity of green lentils because, or mung beans, they grow so quickly and they are foolproof, and they're just so easy. So anything really, any grain, you can sprout wheat grain, rice, quinoa. The sky's the limit. If it's a grain, a legume, or a seed, you can sprout it. And I tend to stick with the ones that I have the most luck with. Like, I have had some that are a little bit too fickle, and they maybe go a little bit too prone to damp or mold. So I tend to stick to my broccoli sprouts, my mung beans, my chickpeas, my kale, my some of the other seeds, hemp seeds, that sort of thing. Quinoa is quite good as well. So I like the ones that are really easy and that I love to eat.
What's the process, Trish, for sprouting? I mean, because obviously you're doing this indoors, you're doing it in your kitchen. So I'm guessing, you can do this in a limited space as well.
Yeah, look, even if you were in a kitchen the size of like those typical Parisian kitchens, my husband lived in once, and it was pretty much a cupboard, so super small. Even if you're in something that's small, you could have access already in your kitchen to a small saucer or a small tray or a small dish, or even a small, I think this was left over from Christmas from nuts. You could sprout in that. You can buy custom made, fantastic sprouting jars like this, which is great because it's got a little something that you can lean on. And then when you drain it out, it leans upside down and it stays like that. But you don't need to buy fancy equipment. You can even have a jar. I'm sure we've all got one of those kicking around in the recycling or whatever. And you can even use, ladies, I love these. So I use them for my ferments as well. So if you've got an old, odd knee-high stocking in your drawer, you could use that, which is fantastic. Or these little sockets. Sometimes you end up with these odd socks knocking around. You can wash them. And these are fantastic because they're already elasticated and they can just sit over the top. So that's all you would need. So simple. So you don't have to go out and buy a heap of fancy stuff. I have got a few fancy things because I love it so much. I do have this Germinator which sits on my windowsill, which does keep warm, which is very good, because I noticed that, especially coming into November, December time, my first winter in England, and I found that, oh my goodness, it was my sprouts weren't quite germinating as quickly. So I do have this fancy Germinator, but you don't need something so fancy. Again, I've just got a tray here and I've got paper towel. So this is, so I've got broccoli sprouts in here, and I soaked those last night, overnight, in a coffee cup with a lid on. And I soaked them for 8 hours overnight. And then I've just put them into this tray. And when they're first germinating, they like to be in the dark. So I've just covered them up with some paper towel, and they like to push up. So having that little bit of weight of a wet paper towel on top is perfect. And then they come to life. So that is, that's day 1. And this is day 4. So you could even do this just straight onto a piece of paper towel. That is all that is paper towel. I've done exactly the same thing here. And that is day 5. So they are ready for snipping. You can just snip those off, or you can pull them off. When they're just in paper towel, they tend to, when you pull them out, sometimes you get a bit of paper towel with it. So you can just snip them off. And I love just coming along first thing in the morning, having a few, gets those digestive enzymes going, gets that bile production going, very good for digestion. And there we go. That's so simple. And again, in a tray, this is a few days after, so they're growing up a little bit higher. And you can get to them to the point where, they're nice and tall, and they're a little bit bigger leaf. So depending on, how long you want to let them go, that's, but you can get them to that size. And then it's so easy. It's a matter of, and this is where the kids love it, because it's like their own little garden. So all you'd have to do, maybe twice a day, depending on the temperature in your kitchen, give them a spray, and that's it. And leave them to it and let them work their magic. And as I said, they're magnifying the nutrients, like the vitamin content, vitamin A, C, E, K, magnesium, potassium, iodine, so good for the thyroid. Silicon, calcium, boron, all the antioxidants, you know, so good. Coenzyme Q10. This is you growing your own supplements, all right? So save yourself a stack of money on supplements and have these. And, you know, and it's just so dead easy. And they look pretty. So this is some green lentils. This is soaked overnight, again in the dark. So I just pop them into the jar and put them into the kitchen cupboard with some water. And then I get up in the morning and I rinse them off. And this is day 2. And you can you might not see on the camera, but you can, oh, look, there's a little one. Yeah. Just the tails just coming out. All right. So that now in 3 days' time, that jar will be full of sprouts. And once the jar gets full, you can easily just put it in the fridge, leave it in that sort of container, pop it in the fridge, and then grab them and put them on every plate, every meal. So even if you're having bacon and eggs for breakfast, put some sprouts on. It's going to make it easier to digest. Even if you're having, you know, a fried egg on toast, you could have some sprouts on the side. Super good for your health. And then, of course, salads, you know, you can pile a beautiful, start with some baby kale and have that as your base for your salad. And then, you know, pile some quinoa or something on top and some other veggies and chop up some salad, some tomatoes, cucumber, and you've got a 3-minute salad. And again, every meal. So I have a big jar of these in the fridge, and every single meal they go on the table, and every single meal my children will get at least a handful on their plate. So they're very used to eating that amount of leafy greens. Now, in every single one of my protocols, 2 portions of leafy greens a day is part of those. No matter if you're perimenopausal, if you're struggling with hormones, if you've got thyroid problems, if you've got gut issues, if you're bloated, I always recommend 2 portions of cruciferous vegetables or leafy greens a day. So easy. So easy.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, it's limited equipment, limited room, limited care, lots of nutrients that you can put into your food. It's fascinating. So I'm talking with Trish Tucker May at the moment, and we're talking about how to do sprouting at home. I hope you're enjoying this video, and if you are, please do give us a thumbs up, because it really does help the channel. Trish, having sprouted, we've talked a bit about that. So having done that, what are some of the ways that we could use sprouts? You've talked about putting them in salads and things like that. Are there other ways that we can add them to foods?
Yes, absolutely. Look, I do, as I said, look, I do add them to everything. And I do always start my day just with a handful, because they're nice. They're just there on the windowsill. And I think, right, I get up, I have my lemon in my water, and then I'll have a handful of sprouts. And that's, you know, again, it's digestive enzymes and it's butyrate, like they're sulfur producing. These sprouts are sulfur producing, and sulfur is so important for hair, skin, nails, for digestion. I love adding them to salads. I even add them to veggie burgers. Yeah. So, you know, ideally you want them raw, because the raw will have the you know, if they're raw, they've got the oxygen. If they're raw, they've got the enzymes, because cooked food has no enzymes, and you need those living enzymes for life force, for energy, to help break down food. So the more raw, the better. But I have been known even to have if I'm being lazy and I don't have my bone broth or my potassium broth on the go, I will get a spoonful of white organic miso paste, stir that into a cup of boiling water, and throw a handful of sprouts on the top. And that's a really good way to, you know, to feel fed but not have a huge amount of calories. Yeah. So if you're thinking about losing weight, or you're thinking about doing some fasting, that's a really good way, super quick, super easy, and you're getting maximum nutrients. So, you know, as I said, they're always on the plate. I love them in veggie burgers. I love them in salads. I love them in, even on a soup, you know, like it's such a pretty soup to have a carrot or sweet potato soup. And then at the end, just, you know, dollop a handful of sprouts in the middle of your soup. So you're getting those living enzymes, you're getting that raw component of the sprouts. And I think in this sort of weather, you know, as the weather warms up, we want more lighter food, but certainly in the dead of winter, we want raw, but we don't want too much. We don't feel like we want a lot of salads. So just that handful on a soup, or on the side of a casserole, or even a heavier meal that is, maybe has meat and veggies in it, then you've got that living component which will help you digest that food.
Trish, you've given us lots of really interesting and inspiring information here. But based on what we've talked about, what challenge would you leave someone with? If someone wanted to start trying to do some sprouting at home, what could they do?
Okay. Look, keep an eye out, just of interest, because I'm starting to see, you'll notice I've got my seed box here, right? This is all ready for my allotment and divided into months and everything. But I've noticed now there's various seed banks. So we're really lucky in Stroud here. And these are popping up all over there. So we have communities of seed savers, and they will have, these will you'll see these in charity shops now. They're little packets of seeds. So firstly, look out for an opportunity to source some seeds, some local seeds. And I was in a charity shop just the other day, and I noticed that they had these little packets of seeds that were for donation, So I had, 50p in my pocket, donated 50p, got myself some watercress, and before you know it, you've got these beautiful watercress. So here's the challenge. It's dead easy. Get yourself a jar. I'm sure you've all got one of these knocking around. Get it out of the recycling, give it a wash, whatever. Make sure things are sterilized. Make sure that that if you're using a tray or a saucer or a jar, that it is clean, okay? Because especially if you're using these trays, you don't want old bits of sprouts stuck in these little holes here, because if you've got that little bit of mold or a little bit of old sprout, it can turn the whole tray. Yeah. So get yourself a jar or a tray, something you will have already in your kitchen. Start off with green lentils. I mean, who doesn't have green lentils in your kitchen? Okay. Start with 2 tablespoons in the bottom. Soak them in preferably clean filtered water, the best quality water you can access, and soak them in, a good amount of water in there. Soak them overnight. So get yourself an old sock or something simple, an old knee high, and put them in the cupboard. All right, and leave them there overnight. And when you wake up in the morning, rinse them off, get all that water out, put some more water in, give it a swirl around so you're releasing any sort of residue on the jar. Give it a rinse around, put your sock back on, or if you've got a fancy lid or something, and again, empty it out. And then just leave it. It's quite good if you leave it draining upside down in your sink, so you're letting all that moisture out, because you don't want them to be too wet. Shake around and leave them sit there. And do that again each day, rinsing it out. So you've got this sort of thing going on. Leave it upside down to drain. And then they can sit on your windowsill, and in 3 to 5 days, you've got food. So there's your challenge. It's dead easy. It doesn't require any big investment, and I'm sure that you will already have these ingredients in your house. And let us know how you get on. I would love to see pictures of your sprouts and that sort of thing. And look, I've got in my Facebook group, which is the Thriving Gut Health for over 40s. And look, don't be put off if you're not quite 40 and you want to beat the belly bloat. Come over to the group, because in there I do have a sprouting chart. So all the different quinoa or Brazil nuts or almonds or rice or wheat germ or chickpeas, there is a chart there that tells you about how long to soak for and how long you would expect to wait for the end product. And it's usually about 8 to 12 hours soaking, and it's usually about 3 to 5 days for germination.
Trish, we can add a link to your group in the description of the video. Trish, thank you for letting us into your kitchen today and demonstrating and talking us through how to grow sprouts at home. Thank you. Each week I ask our experts to leave us with a challenge. It's just an idea, it's something that we can try. If you like it, stick with it. If it doesn't work for you, you can always throw the idea out and keep searching and find something that does work for you. I'm going to be taking this week's challenge. You can see my findings from this challenge in our challenge roundup video, which is a monthly summary covering all of the challenges our experts have shared. To get that video and all of our latest health and wellness uploads, including interviews and reviews, subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified whenever we post. And if this channel can help your friends and family, please share it with them too. If you want to get proactive with your health, Total Wellness Club are developing health quests over at questly.life. Join while we're developing the site and get access to health quests that immediately personalise your health. You'll get to identify which of 10 critical health categories need your attention. You'll be able to track your progress, and you'll be able to help us develop the platform too. I'll put a link in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.